Good morning. I'm staying committed to this this morning thing. It's so weird how sometimes I just can't play it. Look at those colors. Reminds me of a dream or something. Wow. To clear some shit out. Try again later. Thank you. I always talk about the bridge. Right? And it's funny because I wrote these a long time ago, not that long. But and also now that I'm revisiting the podcast and turning it into a book, it's like I began where I finished. So how much ground did I cover? I'm always talking about how a revolution is just a circle. But I did actually. There's a bridge somewhere in that circle. That realization that nothing needs be done, right? That we're already perfect. But somehow what was meant to be has been lost, right? And so it's recoverable. And we can all be the effect. We can all be the effect that creates the cause, right? The to permit what was always there to emerge again. But this I saw has bridge in the first word. So let's see what it says. I don't even remember this one. The bridge we construct over the gulf, an arrow tethered to my heart, thread, line, rope, cable, resolution, amplitude, immeasurable. Remove slack, step once, intuitive transmission. We are back to back. Yeah. So whatever that gulf is, right? It's an illusion. The gulf between us, between all of us. Right, remove that slack by stepping back. And then we're back to back. Some of this shit is like, you can't make it up, man. I'm gonna have to start writing more poems, I think. Get some inspiration. I mean, what's more inspirational than that? It's like a fire in the sky. I am not afraid. I have to remind myself, love cannot be lost. Golden electric, remembering the future, heart transmutation. A field of silver, bang bang, Maxwell's hammer, singular love strike. Accept to preempt, cross the stream like a stone skip, space-time wave function. Yeah, those are just a bunch of chained haiku. I guess they could all go by themselves, but a field of silver, bang, Maxwell's hammer, singular love strike. Expect to preempt, cross the stream like a stone skip, space-time wave function. Cross the stream like a stone skip. Fucking A. So, my back has, I don't know if you can see it. My spine just sticks out. See? When I bought a house that I used to own, we shared a well with the neighbor, and it wasn't a good well, and so the relationship with the neighbor wasn't good. And I was down in the well house one day with the neighbor guy, and he was up above looking down, you know. Right, and I'm down there unscrewing the filter that is filled with sand. So out here we all have wells. I don't know if anyone gets that concept, because we're all connected to city water, and don't drink that shit, by the way. Fluorine, right? Fluoride doesn't do what they say about the teeth, right? That's all bullshit. It's fucking bullshit. But anyway, he was like, "You're not even human," he says, because he could see my spine sticking out. I'm all bent down trying to unscrew the filter. And the reason I mention it is because, right, you want to push that lumbar out, and I already have it, right? It's like built in, and your thoracic or upper spine. And then by dropping the chin, you straighten, you diminish your gooseneck, you know. I think we forget, and we all walk around like this, you know. When we're driving too, you know. Always remember to straighten up and drop that chin. Don't let gravity win, you know, because walk tall, but not with an inflated chest, you know. Not all puffed up, hey man. But it's shoulders back, spine out, and, you know, ready to go. That's just yowling at me. Yeah, it kind of signifies where I'm at in a way too, where y'all are at as well. What is inside informs your manifestation, your bones, your eyes, your mind, your skin. I was saying that before, that our bodies are the physical manifestation of our souls, you know. And I don't know, man. Perhaps, but the attachment, right? We're not our bodies, right? Just the instructions, right, that are given come from our souls, right? So it's definitely, it's not who we are, right? Because it's just our vehicle. And, but it's a bridge. It's like the rainbow bridge. Perhaps that's what that means, you know, from Norse mythology. Because our chakras, right, are the rainbow. It's the rainbow bridge. I don't know what I want to talk about. There's a spider web over there. Not the kind you could envision, you know. It's more like you can't even see the individual threads. It looks like a, because of the rain and the dew, it looks like a hammock. Yeah, I don't know. What is this place? Yesterday I put up a video and took it down right away. So, help me out, y'all. I want to try to play it again. Let's see. Help me out, Spirit. But about the Qigong, though, that out breath and extension that I mentioned, right? That's really important. That's where you like feel the, you know, that's where you're pulling on the cable, right? Of your bridge, right? And despite you standing there. And when you breathe out, right, we always want to collapse into it when we're breathing out, like stretching. And in yoga, right, you get deeper into the pose, and yeah, it's that doing the inverse, right, and getting a result that you're going for by doing the opposite thing that we've all been trained to do. I'm having trouble coming up with the words, you guys. This is a critical moment in this whole thing, because yeah, I gotta stick with it. And I did. I'm only 10 subscribers away from the first goal, and I'll probably do what you said, and maybe just because the Facebook world is separate in kind of a way, because it doesn't bring over these videos for some reason. I don't think, anyway. But I'm gonna put a post on Facebook, and I'm really going to start considering this the principle of gender, all of these principles, the 7 principles, the Hermetic principles, as I've said, they come from the time before, and all these people talking about how the Earth, is moving, our whole solar system is moving around the galactic center, and so the conditions out there change as we move, That's all, but that's, again, that's all an external, outward projection, is that, oh yeah, we're going into the age of Aquarius, and everything is changing, and we're gonna, go from the bottom and start transitioning to the top, and it's all involuntary, by default. And so that's the paradox, right? It's don't worry, right? Everyone's waking up, right? This is going to be okay. There's nothing to be done. Right? We're going into a new area of space where the energy is different. And so just don't do anything. Just relax, right? And on the other hand, right, there is our action, right? Our wisdom is elemental in all of that as well. So nothing can stop the solar system from traversing around the ecliptic, the galactic plane. Nothing can stop that. So whatever's going to happen is going to happen. But there's something about what we all perceive to be real, kind of becomes real in a way. And this, I don't like talking about it, but I'm going to, all of this talk about the flat earth and shit like that. It's just a big misconception, if you ask me. The 3D is flat, right? We have 3 dimensions. The Earth is a sphere, and it's flat relative to the upper dimensions, right? Um, two dimensions is flat, right? 2 dimensions is flat, and if you crumple it, it adds a whole another dimension, right? So every time you fold a dimension, you add a dimension. So this whole talk about that we're on a plane is like, it's like taking the metaphor and making it literal. And then it's like, all you motherfuckers who think this way, right? You're just like the literal Bible thumpers, you know, that taking the Bible literally, like this whole place is 6,000 years old. It's the same fucking shit. And then this whole cosmic egg thing that the flat earthers talk about. The fucking universe is the cosmic egg, man. The dimensions are the levels, right? There's no way to visualize it, you know, for us without taking or projecting the higher dimensions onto a flat surface. And this is what I was talking about with you, with catastrophe theory and topology, is that you take this complex surface and you project it onto the plane on the bottom, and you get actually what happens in these dimensions, in the lower dimension. So it's just a way to visualize and a way to comprehend higher dimensions that can't be fathomed by us except for conceptually. So yeah, these, right, the 3 spatial dimensions and the time dimension is, it's flat relative to the higher dimensions, and there's no questioning that there's higher dimensions. It's all built into the math, and math is the language of the universe, because sacred geometry, right? Math comes from that, and that's the patterns that we see, you know, the as above, so below, the principle of correspondence. The patterns that we see in nature are repeated at macro scales and micro scales. And they all exhibit, you know, for example, the golden ratio, right? This comes from sacred geometry. If you measure this finger bone relative to this one, it's 1 to 1.6. It's the golden ratio. It's fucking everywhere. So, yeah, to talk about the earth as flat is fucking retarded. And it just diminishes our ability to actually perceive what is. And the other thing about that shit, I don't want to be dogging them. I mean, there's some smart dudes out there who believe this, but it's a belief, right? It's an opinion. And it's just like any other opinion, and it's the psyop is that, right? Is that now everything, it's solipsism. It's like there's no way to actually know the truth, right? That's solipsism. And so everyone's entitled to their own version of the truth. And so this fucking whack fucking version can be accepted by a lot of smart people. And they're out there riding in planes, pointing out the window, going, look, see? And it's like, just ride that plane all the way around the world, bro. You know? Follow the sun, bitches. But, I don't know why I started talking about that, just ranting a little, but I think it's more that what I was getting at is this aspect of to just let it happen and have a good life, you know, and then die, or actually make, you know, wisdom is action, right, as is said, in these circles in the Hermetic principle study, right? Wisdom isn't like this, right? Me using this, right? And saying this. Wisdom doesn't make a noise. The truth doesn't make a noise. There's no way to say it. But there is a concerted effort, right, to twist up our minds so that we can't actually feel the truth, right? And maybe not know, or maybe not actually have a cognitive sense of what the truth is to be able to say it, but actually feel it, right? And so, yeah, there's someone's taking action out there. Someone's taking action to twist up our minds, to prevent something from happening, to actually make sure that we stay in a state so that we can be manipulated, right? And kind of prodded into this cage they're preparing for us. And if that sounds crazy, then, right, one of the old things I used to say, I don't say it anymore, is like, just read more, man, read more. But yeah, it's so the inverse of that, right, is to not allow that twisting of your perception to occur. And so that's the paradox, right, is in order for one to be able to prevent that intrusion or that injection into our minds, right, then we have to clear our minds, right? We have to not think. And thinking is the past, right? And no one really, like, now try thinking about this. Stop thinking, but try thinking about this. See how it's tricky? But that thought is actually a cop-out in a way. It is just the past, right? There's no way to have a thought without referencing a past experience, right? So if we didn't have past experience, we couldn't think. So all of it is the past. All thinking is the past. And that's why, like, you can extend that out into what I say in episode 22 or 23 about credibility. Right? If someone has a critique of credibility, then that's an immediate fucking red flag for people listening to them. It's like, oh, they're criticizing credibility? They must feel like no one's listening to them. Right? It's built into our fucking system. That there has to be a vetting of information. And the vetting process is actually to make sure that it already exists. Right? Anything new doesn't get to be said unless you have the credibility to say it, and you don't get credibility without a record, without the past, right? Without a record of performance, or or a record of merit, or some shit like that, right? And so it actually ensures that nothing new can occur, right? And that's self-reference, and that's why we repeat the same patterns over and over again. Same pattern, really. It's not patterns, it's the same shit over and over. And so when you become aware of that, like, you're like, what? Like, why the fuck? But then also it's like, yeah, it's pretty hard not to do, because just being a conscious, sentient being is self-reference, right? Because the universe is all things, and we are in the universe. There's no way to, like, be aware of the universe without referencing the self, So it's this particular there's ways to basically hack your thoughts to prevent that from happening. And I start out right away in the podcast talking about general semantics, and that's a philosophical technique, right? To basically say that the word is not the thing, right? We all, you know, a rose is a rose is a rose in any language, right? The word is not the thing, and the word comes from tradition, right? The word comes from thought. The word comes from the map that we build ourselves with language. And that's the other thing from general semantics, is that the map is not the territory, right? We're all referencing the map, right, that has been given to us through tradition, right? And to try to find our way, and it's fucking useless. Not the territory, and there's uncharted territory, right, as yet to have been traversed, and that's where we want to go. And so the intent, the acausal intent, right, is to let go of the past so that something new can occur. And that's right, that's related to what I was saying about will, right? Will is limited, right, because you actually have an objective, right? And when you achieve the objective, then you've reached your limit, right? So don't ever fucking make that line. Don't ever draw that line. It's not fucking, you can't ever get there. And that's for science itself, you know, it's like you can't actually add to our collective knowledge, right? You can see how this is tricky to talk about, because again, I'm talking about history and the past, right? Our collective knowledge is from us living thousands of generations, right? But with science, you can't ever find anything new, is it if you've decided that you already know what it is, right? And so in order to actually discover something, you have to decide that you don't know, right? That you actually don't know anything. And that is the paradox, because you will, as a scientist, reference all that you know in order to break new ground, you know, to cross over new thresholds. But to make a declaration beforehand that you know is a hamstringing activity. So what I was saying is that, yeah, that there is an effort to keep us, you know, stupid and down and talking about the wrong shit and talking about all of the things, you know, like I think the whole truther movement actually is part of that effort, right? Because conspiracy podcast is, I've already said this, it's just like, what's the next topic? Like, how can we get more sensational? What's the next sensational topic? The ways that we are being manipulated and all of this crazy shit that's happening. But then what do you do? What are people doing? Where's the wisdom in that, you know? Where's the action? And so to prevent our minds from being infected, right? And actually to inoculate our minds from that infection, we have to and it's all cliche when I say we have to, and then ... y'all waiting for what we have to do. Everything I say is a fucking cliche at that point, you know. But it is this disconnection from our past, this removal of any kind of identity that you may have, this letting go of who you think you are, right? And knowing who you are, right? Letting go of thought. And so when you do that, right, then your psychological sense of self is let go as well. And that's the ego, right? The ego is, its purpose is to keep us alive, right? And right now, none of us are in danger. And yet we're all trying to preserve our psychological sense of self from some kind of threat, you know? And I mean, that's the other hack too, and that's the hack that Gandhi and fucking MLK fucking came up with, is that, right, they say do your worst, right? That's on you. I'm not afraid to die, you know? I know I'm not my body. And so they were able to have this profound effect, and yet, right, where is that effect? Look at India now. Like the Indian government is like the epitome of fucking bullshit. And I know a lot of South Asians who come to America, and they become more American than any fucking American, like overnight, you know, because they're really smart, you know, and they know how to take the steps, they know how to play the chess game. And that's true of, you know, I don't talk about race at all, because that's what I say, is that there is no tribes. It's there's just humanity. And so the point that I began with is to try to, like, what is there to be done? And there's nothing, right? Because we are fully evolved already. There's nothing to be done except to relinquish what has been done. To let it go, right? To let it fucking go and permit the new to enter, right? And that's Zeno's paradox. That's not Zeno's paradox, but to try to, like, actually get somewhere is the paradox, because when you drop a rock, it never actually hits the ground, right? It only goes half the distance to the ground, and then half that distance, and half that distance, and half that distance, you know, to infinity, right? It's all an illusion, this whole thing. And so if it is, then we can actually affect it, right? And it's at those most poignant and subtle moments, right? And Qigong permits that, like the feeling of that, of pure potentiality in the instant, right? In that pinpoint singularity and all things, right? At once. And that's that when you're breathing out and you're lifting up at the same time, right? So normally when you breathe out, like I say, right, we're compressing. You know, when you stretch and you breathe out and you're like pressing into your stretch. Stretching is unnecessary, by the way. Yeah, so you can actually feel that, I guess, joy in a way. It's like when you're breathing out and you are extending upwards, right? You are defying the known, right? And so, just to finish it out, right? Like, if we can all, right, be the effect that creates the cause, right? So it's like that retro-causality. And that's what all of this how to manifest shit is saying, you know, and there's truth to it, but also um, that can fuck you too, right? Um, so it's all of this, desire, right? And this, right? And then, uh, right? The Buddha says that desire is the problem. So, like, relinquish your desire, and then all of us are like desiring not to desire. So it's like meta, and so you have to just let go. You just have to let go of who you think you are, stop thinking, and let the light of the creator enter. And so that's the ever-present origin, right? So the purpose that I'm shooting for, right, is this effect, right, that I want to get is all of us breathing out and extending upward all at once. All of us, right? And so start with 50. Start with 50. And when we can, right, when we all let go of who we think we are, our identities and shit, right? Then what we are actually emerges, what we really are, right? And that's know thyself, right? So when you know yourself, you're not actually knowing your experiences, right? That's remembering, right? That's the past. That's not who you are, right? That shit's already done. So that statement, know thyself, is an inner knowing, right? Inner standing. And so that's the power of this training. That's the power of this training. And it also, right, your body will become as it was intended. Right? There's this, in America, we're all fucking trying to achieve this ideal. And forget it. Forget the fucking ideal. It's right there already. It's already right fucking there. So I'm gonna post this, and it'll go up on IGTV, so you guys who just joined, what's up, brother, can watch it later, and do your own thing with it. But the idea is fucking subscribe Birch Driver on YouTube, so that we can be the effect that creates the cause. Retrocausality, ever-present origin, a causal intent, right? If acupuncturists, those who do acupuncture on people, they can't have an intent when they're fucking piercing your skin. They understand a causal intent. And kinesiology, right, which is related to that, which is basically asking the body questions, right? The practitioner removes themselves from the equation, right? They can't actually be there to receive the answer, right? They will affect the answer if they're there. So that's the same thing. Like, we can do this energy work on the world. We are individuals and collective at once. And all of this focus on the individual, like, you can achieve, anything you set your mind to, and you can manifest the life that you've been wanting, So, like, that's a diversion from because there is no individual without the collective. Who the fuck are you in a vacuum? There's no fucking, without the relationship, there's no self. Right? And so it's both things at once, and you can't be walking around all like focusing on your individual self and not realize that on aggregate everyone doing that creates the collective. And so we have a collective of everyone fucking just being individual operators, right? Because they're attached to their identities. And that's what on aggregate creates the whole pattern. So it's actually very simple. The complexity of the relationships of civilization, right, is actually created by something very fucking simple. And these are the initial conditions, right, of the pattern that plays out. And when we let go, we change the initial conditions. And the pattern that emerges changes. Changes what it was changes to what it was intended to be. So yeah, check it out right away, because actually IG is removing my videos. So if you missed the first part, like, check it out. And I know some of you are like really into training your body, and so I think this would be you already have it, you know, you're already fucking badass, but let's all come together and be badass together, but in a way that isn't like this defined, right? The immeasurable. We become immeasurable, right? Become immeasurable. Yeah, so that's basically it. That was not bad. So we build these walls around our heart, you know, all of us, because we've been hurt. And imagine taking those stones out and letting that light come through that was only coming through the cracks before. Remove those hot stones and reveal your angelic nature, right? Because we're all earth angels. And let's talk more. I want to, right, the principle of gender is the next episode, right, on the my podcast. And so it's the most difficult to talk about, and it's I've attempted it before, and it's very fucking tricky. So yeah, I'm gonna go for it, and I'm not gonna really prepare, but stay tuned for that. And I'm hopefully gonna get a female guest on to talk about that too. All right, you guys. It's like, we'll see you next time.